Hello, my beloveds. This is transmission number 3. It is an absolutely beautiful morning, and what you see in the view of the video is a piece of black obsidian. I believe it's from Oregon volcanoes, and a feather that I found that some bird left for me yesterday evening, and I'm not sure what kind of bird it came from, but I am quite intrigued by it because the coloring is unique. So I have those little treats to share. I carry the black obsidian with me during every one of my writing sessions and burn Nag Champa incense to cleanse the energy around me while I'm writing. And before I start this writing session this morning, I thought it was time to send out a third transmission. So I hope that this message finds all the beautiful souls and light workers and chosen ones thriving and prosperous and shining your light wherever you may be. It has been an extraordinarily grueling time since I recorded transmission number 2. And not really quite sure how I got through it, except that I'm a fucking superstar, and that's what superstars do. We just keep getting up. Every time we're knocked down, keep getting up. No matter how many souls attempt to diminish our light or hate our light. But I was given a true example of just how evil persists and the need to eradicate and obliterate some incredibly dark energy. So I have been working on that. I guess, where do I even start? I guess I'll start at kind of the end of the experience and work my way back a little bit. It has now been a week since I was able to free myself and my pupper from the clutches of an incredibly toxic, abusive environment where the universe landed us at the beginning of June. I had known this individual for over a year, and when I say no, I put air quotes around that. I had worked with this person at the park doing volunteer work and talked to her on a regular basis. We never shared a meal together or went on any outings together, but she is very good at hiding the darkness that lives in her heart. And so I was completely blindsided when she asked us to, or offered her place for us to stay when we had to move out of our townhouse. And I was so incredibly grateful. But it became clear very quickly, like day one, that there was something sinister going on, and I just kept protecting my space, protecting my pupper, protecting our energy, and just kept rising with love and light every time she would come at me. And it seems like the more I did to bring love and light to her home and to her environment, just like simple things like cleaning her house that probably hadn't been cleaned in a couple months, that pissed her off. This is someone who lives with MS and also hides behind that this darkness that I experienced is an instability and chaos and frankly insanity is from the MS, and it is not. I learned toward the end of the 30 days from her mother that she is an unmedicated bipolar, and I'm not sure what the other diagnoses are, multiple personalities, probably borderline schizophrenia. But here's the thing. One of my superpowers is being able to read between the lines. And she was very smart about remembering certain things to come back to and accuse me of. I mean, the things that I was accused of was absolutely ludicrous. But for a month, I was basically her verbal punching bag. I would wake up to banging on our door in the middle of the night and rage that I would spend up to 2 hours attempting to defuse, and did diffuse time and time again. And it just kept coming, and it kept getting worse and worse. And I don't think a day went by that she didn't threaten to put us out of her house and remind me that it was her house and she could do so, even though there are laws in place that say that she has to give 30 days notice. When I shared that with her, she said, "Fuck the laws, you can sue me." There was one night I literally felt like I was performing an exorcism, and it took 2 hours, probably a little more than 2 hours, but I was able to bring her back and at least for a moment rid her of this evil dark spirit that is attached to her. And I suppose that it's attached to her because of the vulnerabilities of her mental state and the MS. She also is filled with self-loathing and self-hatred, and it is true, hurt people, and her spirit absolutely could not swallow that I was happy and had that I just carry myself with confidence, even in this current experience of an instability, of not knowing why the universe crash landed us in a place with someone who's full of chaos and insanity and rage and the abuse. Oh my gosh. And yet I still rise and I still take care of my pupper and I still take care of myself. And fortunately, I have learned over the last 8 months to how to cleanse the energy around me and to cleanse my energy, how to use love and light, and there's absolutely no PTSD triggers. There's absolutely no sign of any triggers being triggered in my reprogrammed brain, which is quite miraculous. I write more in detail about this in the book that I'm working on. So, just kind of to give y'all an overview of what we were experiencing Monday. The pupper and I went out for, when I say Monday, I mean a week ago, so this happened a week ago, Monday. Took the pupper out for a walk, and this individual had been just smiling in my face for the past 24 hours, just acted like all happy, and something in my intuition told me that there was something behind it, because the first time since we had moved in, Monday morning, she greeted me with, "Good morning, how are you this morning?" That had never happened, and I knew something was up. Saturday, the previous, 2 days prior to this, she had gone to her mommy and daddy's, 41-year-old adult, to beat them up verbally and manipulate them into kicking me out of her house. So Saturday, or on this same day, her mother came back to her house with her, and when we got back from our walk that day, they were waiting for me, for the mother to ask if she could talk to me. I don't know if this wind is going to be too much. Hopefully it's not. So I said, well, why don't we go for a walk? I did not want to have the conversation in the house with this individual in the bedroom listening and, who knows, popping out at any moment to interrupt the conversation. I wanted to have a real conversation with her mother. And the dog and I weren't coming back from our walk. We were just getting ready to go for a walk. So, off we went. It was a hot day. I didn't think to bring a water bottle. I must have talked to her mother for an hour. We found a shade tree, and my pupper was such a good bear. Just sat quietly, knowing that she needed to work and just be there for me. And the denial, knowing that your child is in distress and that I am giving warning, sirens, alerting you that your child is in distress and is not doing well. It's like she heard me, but the denial was so insidious that she could not see past the denial. Or all the years of torture that their child has put them through because she refuses to take any medication. So between denial and enabling, it was really quite sad, but interestingly at the end of the conversation she said, "And all this time I thought you were this terrible ogre of a person, and you're actually a kind, sweet, compassionate individual." And the irony, she was wearing a Life is Good t-shirt with a rainbow and mountains on it. So, yeah, the ironies abound throughout all this. So fast forward to Monday, 2 days later, 48 hours later, when her mother just kept saying, she just wants me to ask you to leave. And I reminded her of the law as well. And so she wanted me to come back to the house and the three of us sit down and talk. And I said, oh no, this is a conversation that you need to have, just you and your daughter. And if I am there, that just creates an opportunity of her feeling like it's us against her. So basically, Irene and I were stuck out in the heat with no water or really shade. We did find respite at a neighbor's house, a block or so away, which was really wonderful, but it was still just bananas that I couldn't even take us back to where we were staying. So fast forward to Monday, 48 hours later, and the pupper and I went for a morning walk and came back, and while we were gone, this individual put a typed note on our door with the heading, "Notice to vacate," on the grounds of, what was the wording? Temperament. And if I told you all the ways that I improved this individual's life in the time that I was there, it would blow your mind. And yet, this is where we were at. I knew that we could not stay there another day. I couldn't take it. I was beginning to see that it was deeply affecting and traumatizing the dog. Just her hearing this individual's footsteps coming down the hall, she would start panting and freaking out, and it was breaking my heart. But we had nowhere to go. I did not have the financial resources. I have been unable to find an apartment. It's like the divine needed me to be in this space to prove that I actually have elevated and ascended and done some extraordinary healing work over the past 8 months. So I went to the neighbor's house to let him know what was happening, And we've had really nice conversations over the course of the month, and I also knew that this would create jealousy, and that's absolutely what it did. At one point, she accused us of fucking, which is beyond ludicrous, because he could just be my father, but also an active alcoholic, and I definitely have more integrity than to enter into any kind of intimate relationship with somebody who is actively drinking or using. Being sober for 19 years kind of does that to you, I suppose, if you're doing the work anyway. But he is a kind soul, and so I went to talk to him, and he already knew what happened. He had been alerted not only by his neighbor where we were staying, but also by her father, who was the one who had come by that morning and brought the typed up notice for his daughter to put on our door to put us out. And so the neighbor said, I can't have you on the streets. You and your pup are welcome to move in with me. So, fortunately, the place where we were staying, this individual had gone to therapy, which, note, because of my example of going to therapy every week, inspired her to call her therapist and get back into therapy after not being in therapy for over 3 years, I think. So I knew that I had a window of time, about an hour and a half, to move all of our belongings into the neighbor's garage and get us the fuck out of there. It was the hottest day it has been of this summer where we are, and it was at the heat of the day, and I thought I was going to get heat stroke. The whole time I was just like, make this nightmare end. Just fucking make this nightmare end. And praying that I would get all of our belongings out before she returned. And don't you know, I had just finished vacuuming our space, and was carrying out my last box, when she started sauntering up, or I opened the door and she was sauntering up the sidewalk, all proud of herself. I had left her a note saying that I love her and I forgive her, and I understand that she knows not what she does, and that I will continue to bless her with healing and love and light, and pray that she find peace. And put the key on top of the note. So when I walked out the door and passed her, I said, your key is on the kitchen table. And I walked on. In the time that we have been staying at the neighbors, there have not been any rules enforced. There were new rules enforced of the place every day, and I followed them. We weren't allowed to play in the backyard. I had to unplug all the appliances after I used them. I could only use a limited amount of water. Oh my gosh, I had a nightlight in my bathroom that she snatched out one night because the light pissed her off. I wasn't able to run my window fan at night to keep us cool, because one night she banged on the door full of rage. Turn that fucking fan off, even though we'd had it in the window every night since we'd been there, and nothing had been said. But as the days passed, everything escalated. So in this new space, there's definitely been sanctuary, but he has also been tangled up with this neighbor for 6 years, and because being an active alcoholic, hard to set boundaries. And in that first day, he set the boundary that she was not welcome to come in his house unless he invited her in, and he did not see that was going to happen. He was absolutely appalled of what was happening to us. He saw the goodness in me and the love and the light, and saw what she was putting us through. So the instability and the shakiness is that I we are staying with an active alcoholic, and I know what it is like to be an active alcoholic. I was one for 12 years. However, all has been quiet and good, and he has not allowed her to come in the house. She has tried. I have attempted to put some protection bubble around the house, and my pucker and I have just been attempting to recover from the daily abuse and barrage of rage and insidious projections of one's own self-loathing and self-hatred, attempting to project it onto me. Good news is, that doesn't affect me anymore. I know who I am today, and I know that I have done the work, and I know that I love myself, and I know that this is all her, and her inability to want to do her work. And there will be more on this, but we are coming up on close to 30 minutes, and I just wanted to report an update. It definitely feels like the universe has me in a holding pattern, even though the state law says that I am supposed to receive my deposit back from an apartment that has been vacated by the or the deposit back from the landlord after the tenant has vacated 30 days, within 31 days. I still have not received that refund, and I leave my vacated apartments better than I find them. I've never had an issue, ever, with a deposit being returned to me, and usually it's returned within the first week. I've attempted to find rooms to rent on different websites, and they all have been no's. I put my name on a waiting list for a low-income apartment complex. I'm number 8 in line, at least I was when I completed the paperwork on Tuesday, so the day after all this tower moment chaos happened. But it's just like every door of lack that I attempt to open is slammed in my face, is locked, it disappears. so I intuitively see that as shitty as all of this is right now, I'm in a holding pattern, and I don't know why, other than to prove that I am a fucking rock star, and I have risen above this situation, which still blows my mind. But I just want everyone out there to know that if you are going through similar situations where it doesn't feel like there's a way out, a way will be provided. I didn't think there was a way out. I felt like a prisoner. I did not have the financial resources to just go rent a hotel room and get us the fuck out of there. And a way was provided, and the catalyst was actually getting that letter, notice to vacate, quote unquote. So, if there are any of you struggling, and it doesn't make sense, and you can't find a way out, know that a way out will be provided. It may not be the option that you are wanting or striving for or believe that you are worthy of, because I know that I am worthy today. I know that I am deserving of a castle on a hill, with my own yard for my pupper to run around freely in and play with her and just be free. I know that I'm worthy of freedom and stability and a world where I am able to thrive and don't have to survive anymore. So know that for yourself too. We have done the work. We have gone above and beyond. We have shown our light in the darkest of places and for the darkest of souls. And some turn away and some come to the light. And I do believe that our time to rise as a collective is near. I just wish I knew how near it was, but I don't have that answer. I send you all my love and light and protection, and until next time.